Sorry about that. Um, Using the iPhone to video record, and somebody makes a phone call and messes up the video. Yeah, AOC, chick is really an airhead. I'm not even gonna get into it, but if the if the people in New York vote this chick back into Congress on her next term, with the way the crime rate is going on and other things that's going on in her, if they vote her back in, they gotta be the dumbest people on the planet, or just not aware, or just voting because they're Democrats. But moving on with what I was saying about Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is a Marxist organization. If you do the research and follow where the money comes, where the money came from to develop them, and the administrators that's in charge of them, and where the money goes, it goes over to to an organization. Part of it goes over to an organization called Act Blue. Act Blue is a Democratic slush fund, and the rest of it goes over to a Marxist organization overseas. They haven't quite understood that one, but you have to understand the slush fund, and I'll get back to that. But let me kind of deal with what Black Lives Matter is. Black Lives Matter is a Marxist parasite that utilizes the anger, the passion, and stupidity of the black race as the vehicle to push their Marxist agenda. They don't care about anything about the black race. None of that money goes to improve situations in the black race. No, their idea was to push a Marxist agenda. With George Soros, he created two organizations. He brought one from overseas called Athefis. He's funding them. They're the muscles. And Black Lives Matter, which is the agitators. And people jump on there and they follow this because it's under the name of blacks. And blacks, the black race, I don't want to necessarily put my race down, but I have to call it a spade a spade. Is they run around with their emotions on their sleeve. They follow anything. They've been following Al Sharpton for years, which is a race baiter that makes money all around the country doing absolutely nothing for the race. If he was doing anything for the race, then he would be looking at the real policies that has screwed up the black race, such as welfare, and start working back towards the important thing of putting fathers back into the household, which Black Lives Matter wants to take fathers out of the household. He would work on that issue. He would work on the issue of education, better education, and more jobs in the black community, which brings me back to Donald Trump with his development zones that he has put into the black community. He has, for a guy that everybody calls racist, he has put more money into black colleges, black communities with development zones, black communities, than in Obama's administration. And that's pretty, if he's a racist, then he's got to be a retarded one to be putting forth all this effort into the black community. But he has, it's like my mustache. Oh, there you go. That's even. And see, none of that comes across the news on what he has done to improve lives in the black community, improve the job situation. These development zones that he put into the neighborhoods to help improve different people that didn't finish school, to help them develop to get the jobs. This man has done that. So, I have to give him props on that, because Obama didn't give a dime to churches, to black colleges, to even improving life in the black community. So I have to bring that up. But getting back to Black Lives Matter and what's going on this part, on this segment of Black Lives Matter and Athletes, the Democrats. The Democrats looked at this as being a great thing. They could utilize COVID-19, which has been proven that they have utilized that to control people. They have studied that. Look, when I was in college, outside of teaching hypnosis, I studied social biology, the study of people, what makes them do the things they do, and so on. And you have social biologists all over you. studying what makes the black race tick, and so on. They studied that our emotions and our anger in the black community could be triggered real quick. And the first thing that we do is when confronted by anger and frustration, we burn down our neighborhood, which was proven in Baltimore. Black Lives Matter went out there, get rid of the cops, so on, blah, 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 blah. And they threw things, rocks burned, bombs and everything, and the cops moved out of the neighborhood, sat on the outskirts. A week later, 140 people got killed because they were left to their vices due to what Black Lives Matter said. Black Lives Matter doesn't care about the black people. It cares about the destruction. Everywhere they have went so far with their peaceful protests have ended up in destruction. The reason why, they go in there to agitate the people to get them upset. And as the people start marching, if you notice during the marches, there were different places where there were bricks that were actually dropped off and so on. That was for Antifas. As the marches went on, you had white people coming into the marches with backpacks, road flares, and so on, setting that police cars, and so on fire. This is an organized movement. Meanwhile, the Democrats are saying it's a peaceful protest. And it's so funny. I mean, you could write this as a comedy show. You have the Democratic media sitting down recording the peaceful protest. One chick is reporting, then as the peaceful protesters march down the street, blah, blah, and as she's doing that, you got your peaceful protesters setting the building on fire behind her. So it's not a peaceful protest. But it was okay because the Democrats felt as though between COVID-19, and getting people locked down, and between the marches, we could blame it all on Trump. Trump kind of put it back on each individual local politician, the governors and the mayors, to handle their problems. They take it off of him. He even said he would come in and settle some of these problems. Even in Portland, they're saying it was peaceful protest. For 90 days, these people tried to burn down this federal building using class 5 lasers. Probably suffered, those cops, there's some cops that are probably going to suffer blindness. And they did not shoot one of those radical terrorists. I would have blew their ass away. But they had restraint. What happened is the Democratic Party thought this was a good thing. All the chaos and so on. It's going to all lay on Donald Trump. Well, what happened? It didn't. American people did not like the idea that their local governments wasn't standing up. They weren't taking advantage of what President Trump wanted to offer. And they started changing. Blue states started changing red. And all of a sudden, the peaceful protesters with the Democrats turned into rioters. And the reason why is because their numbers started going down. Now, with all this black pandering, like I said, every 4 years, Candace Owens said that they do the race card. I don't understand that, because why do they spend the time and the money with the black race spending the race card? They don't have to. Historically, it has been proven that 95.5% of the black race will vote Democrat anyway. So why go through the racial thing of showing you all the black people that died? The basic black person isn't going to do the research to sit down and say, how many people actually got killed by cops? No, they're not going to do that. They're just going to look at it and feed into what MSNBC and CNN says, that this black person got killed by cops, that black person got killed by cops. When George Floyd died, all you heard is, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. Tearing at your emotions, pushing up your anger, causing you to tear and burn down your town. I have businesses around here that'll never come back. A jewelry store, they ripped a new asshole in it, that guy. I don't know what kind of damage they did to his family. The people that did it really didn't give a shit. They walked away with a 5-finger discount. But they destroyed the business. All over a person they didn't fucking know, that was actually, in my eyes, a damn criminal. And a lot of the shit that has been happening in America has been over criminals. Yeah, okay, that was off. And that has to stop, but it's not going to stop as long as the media plays it up. But what is happening, which is actually funny, is that your sport franchises and all these other companies, your jump behind them, jump behind this. The government shut down businesses that didn't have to be shut down, mom and pop stores that probably have a bunch of them went out of business that'll never come back. And you got to ask yourself, they did that, but they didn't shut down Walmart, Home Depot. A lot of the grocery stores understand why they had to be open, but Home Depot, Walmart, no. Why? Um, they didn't shut them down. These other businesses could have followed the CDC guidelines and stayed open, but they literally want to destroy them. That's big business. You have to destroy them, and everybody has to buy their stuff from Amazon or one of these big box stores. And that's pretty much so what happened. I mean, they destroyed Walmart and Target around here. Within a few days, they had them restocked and back online and back in there to make the money. But what's happening is the Democratic Party didn't know that George Soros has his own agenda. He wants to collapse the economy, and he'll make money off of that. Collapse the economy, buy up all the stuff he can, and as the economy comes back around, sell it off and make your money. But he also has a thing where he wants to push this Marxist agenda, which the Democratic Party has been following for years. This democratic ideology. So they're kind of like in bed together, but they lost control of it. So now they have to demonize Black Lives Matter. It amazes me because people don't do their research about Black Lives Matter. They just run around. I just got into a thing with my grandson and my son-in-law about one of their friends that had a Black Lives Matter flag on the lawn and somebody set it on fire and they thought it was horrible. It's like, no, you got to understand. A lot of people don't like Black Lives Matter because they understand what Black Lives Matter is about. And then you have the other segment that thinks that it's actually good for black people. Well, it had a good idea, but that's not what they portrayed. They portrayed a lie. And the lie was to push their movement. And if you look at the marches, you have more whites than you have blacks, and the whites are telling the blacks how to fucking think. And that's ridiculous. So Black Lives Matter is not for black people. And if you're black and you're following that, please do the research. Please follow the money. Please find out who invented them. Finance them. Who is their administrative people controlling them? What is their mission statement? And where is the money being donated going to? If you learn that, then you'll understand why a bunch of people do not support or like Black Lives Matter. So that's my segment on Black Lives Matter. And that's 12 minutes long. Like I said, I'm making a few of these. I'm going to make a few slits as I go along with information that I get that I'm going to put in there. But I'm going to stop this one. I'll get back with another one. And it's just that I had some free time. I figured I'll start this off. I might end up editing this or getting rid of this altogether. But this is the beginning of America's at War, Part 2.